Welcome back, everybody. We just slept in someone else's bed. Ha! It's not very nice of us, is it? Do. There we go. There we go. All right. We are ready. To continue our journey. Wow, he just really... Someone shot the cow. Did you see that? They shot the cow. What a rotten skeleton. Whoever slept in the bed left lots of mobs for us. It's like, my goodness. Can't even make progress. There's so many mobs. We can't even hide in the grass from them. You'd think that you could hide in the grass and maybe they wouldn't see us. I'm sorry. I should cut that out, but I'll probably forget that it's there by the time I go to render this video, so I apologize. Anyways, welcome back, everybody, to 2B2T. We're here with... Okay, I pushed tab and it froze. 684 individuals online. We are continuing our journey. In our last episode, we ended up in this large area to the right there. You can see on the map that was already pre-explored. There was a portal, an ender chest. It looks like someone just came and did a square loop after coming out of the portal to check to see if there was anything around, and they didn't find anything. Is this an outpost? It is. All right, good. Well, we found our solution. That's why I can't run. I'm hungry. I'm going to be repairing my chest plate and my elytra. I'm probably breaking my sword. We won't do it on camera. We'll take a little pause after I get inside. I need to be able to block up the door quickly so we can create our kill chamber. This is good, though. It's relatively flat. Should be easy to attract. We just got to find the door. Of course, it's on the opposite side we went in. There we go. All right. We're going to come up here for a second and just do that. All right. So I'm going to repair my goods, specifically that and this, and these, and I'll get 100%, and then we'll continue. So I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We've got everything almost repaired. Our sword's about to break, but you can see we've just got a little bit left on our chest plate there. We've got our elytra already repaired. This is the way to do it, you know, if you're out and about and you just need quick ability. Oops, we're down. We'll use our shovel here. To get the last little bit of XP, we're going to have to make a sword. Which means we need to put down an ender chest or fly to an ender chest. Don't shoot me. I want to repair, not get damaged. But this is the quickest way to do it. It's just leave the bottom open, block off this first stair on the second level, and you know you can put this little slab here to help prevent most of the arrow shots. They'll still shoot you a little bit when they jump up. But in the most part, you'll kill them fast, even if you don't have a powerful sword to get them in one hit and stuff with sweeping edge and all of that. You'll get them down and kill them before faster and repair your gear faster than, you know, the arrows will take your gear down. All right, we're collecting XP, which means everything's 100%. Cool. Let's eat. I should have cooked up that food while I was here. Oh, I lost all my wood. Well, before I continue... Oh, no, I don't have to put down an ender chest. Yes, I do. No, I don't. I just need to find a couple pieces of wood, which there's gonna be wood up here. Oh, well, there's wood right here, but... Oh, okay. I don't have a sword yet. Get down there. Yeah, I kind of figured some of them would maybe spawn above me. That's why it's good to block this off too. Alright, anyways. Am I not collecting that wood? I guess I didn't collect that wood. I don't know. There's a chest right here. I already got Sing. Alright, so I just need this. Oh. Make another ender chest. I guess I picked up the wood. That's fine. It's over here. Okay, I see. I see. Because all I wanted to do was do this to get some sticks to make a new sword. There we are. We'll put that there and we'll take those. Alright. Cool. Well, we are ready to go on our journey north. Here, we'll just fly out of here. Whee! Yeah, this is why I don't want to fly long distance. I can't see anything. Do. All right. We're good. Well, we may continue our journey. We'll take a northwesterly trail path until we find a trail that goes the direction we want. I don't necessarily want to go straight west. You know, we're in between the, North Highway and then the northwest diagonal. And while in the overworld, both of those highways are probably pittered out to next to nothing at the distance we are. In the nether, they continue. I should take a look. I mean, if I'm looking for like potential base ruins and things like that, there's always a good chance that around 50,000 off of the highway, 50 to 75,000, you're gonna find bases. Because people, not the mega bases, but a lot of the starter bases and things like that, because they'll be traveling out and then they'll pick a point and say, okay, this is good, and they want to get off the highway or get away from the highway enough to where they're relatively safe for a little bit, to just either get things started, collect resources, stuff like that, do a little event activity sometimes, because they're going to host a little event. They want it to be close enough that it's easy to get to, but far enough that it's not going to be instantly found, randomly, things like that. And so it's always a good distance. And I know I'm much further than that. This person was doing just a zigzag of left, right, left, right, left, right. Come on, I'm gonna have company here. We'll have everybody visiting us. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like, this guy could have come from this way and went back that way, or he could have just been traveling this way. Guess we're going this way. I've made up my mind. If he's going north, we'll go northish. Northish, eastist. Yeah, he's gonna... It looks like he's just kind of doing a zigzag. That's okay. Feeling good. We got everything repaired. We did a little pillar. There's no chests or anything nearby. Pillared up to look around or something? I'm not sure. It's definitely not like following the river. He's zigzaggy enough that he's probably in the air. Whoever it is, they were flying. But then they're just kind of going back and forth in maybe a search pattern where they felt, well, if I zigzag back and forth, I'm more likely or potentially more likely to come across, a hidden base or something. Probably. Come on. Don't know why it does that. Why they can't fix that. I get it. They put on a lot of different mods and stuff, and patches and whatnot, to try to make sure the server is safe and stuff like that. And to limit some of the hacks, because some of the hacks can be quite dangerous for the server in that they could lag the server out and things like that. And I know that there's people that complain about, oh, this is supposed to be an anarchy server and there shouldn't be any limits and, all that kind of stuff. But then you got to think about it too from a server business standpoint. If there were no protections at all, no limits at all, you expose the server to complete failure. Because one, it'll just lag out and crash all the time, and then nobody plays. No one at all will play. It would drop down to like 10 players. And so you got to have those controls on to make sure that, you can maintain some stability on the server. And then at the same time, and it's not as much of an issue anymore, but you got to make sure you're protecting people too, from a data standpoint. Because in the past, before the update to 1.19, it stayed so long on 1.12 that people, were able to exploit data. Personal data, player data, not data of, they did it too, of the data of, well, this person's been here and the base is over here. They did those exploits, but it was more of, no, here's all the email addresses of these players. Here's their logins and passwords to their accounts. Here's their names. That is a huge, huge risk. And if the server owner didn't, technically, someone could do a class action lawsuit that was involved in that, and they could sue the server owners for breach of data and data protection rights. So, it's good that they made the decision to update. It's good that they made the decision to change things. It's interesting there. Look at that. 3 chests stacked on top of each other in that ancient little village. It's not player, that's natural. I've seen it before, but it's just rarer. Anyways, I'm happy they updated just because you get all the new blocks and the new building capabilities and animals and, to me, that's what makes Minecraft fun. If someone reached out to me the other day, hey, how you'd like to go play on what 2B2 T was like in 2011. It's like, no, not really, because I'd be limited to pretty much cobblestone and stone from a building standpoint. Wouldn't have most of the woods we have today. And sure, yeah, you could go back then and do all kinds of exploits on that version and stuff and whatnot, and PvP was different, and doing things was different and whatnot, and some people that appeals to. But it's like, I'm a builder, I'm an explorer. I like the new terrain generations. I like the capability of doing neat things with all the new blocks and the different types of farms you can do. That, yeah. So, nah, not really. It's too limiting, to go backwards. It really is. Okay, so another big east-west path. I was kind of following a northwest path, but it looks, well, it may break off over here. You can kind of see it. So we'll come back over here. We'll kind of go west here and see if we can find a northward path that breaks off. We'll just follow the edge. Looks like this one's going to do it, maybe. Angled northwest. Do 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 do. Yeah, we'll follow this one. It's not the old 1.12 path, it's a newer one. Probably just a search path. But we can take off this direction. Whee! Probably take that ocean over there and just get back to the path easily. Looks like boating is always faster than walking, so yes, please. But it looks like he jaunts. No. I mean, he's look. Oh, there's a watchtower there. It looks like he stopped at the watchtower. He joggled over to it. You can just barely see it on the edge there. Then he joggled back over this direction. All right. Well, we'll go this way. Maybe this guy got lucky, and through his random search pattern here, he found something. I would not be adverse to that, even if there's nothing there. Just the fact of finding a few random doodads, build or whatever, can be cool. Let me see. This looks like a portal square because it's straight west, straight north. We'll take a look at it. It's bigger than a portal square normally is. Well, no. We should be coming up with the edge right now. Okay, so it's not... Yep, there it is. Okay, I was off just a tad. So, yeah, this is definitely a portal square. So, I don't see any active portal, which means they built it and then took it down. But that's a portal square. Or, well, no, not necessarily a portal square. I mean, technically, someone could have stopped right in the very center and just sat there for 5 minutes or so, and the whole thing just loaded the square around them. But in general, that's what you would look for a portal square. And it could be that someone popped in, and then the path I'm now following, they went out on this little path, And then the other person that we were following came along and kind of discovered it after the fact. Could be. Looks like we can jot up around the edge of this little island right here. Or peninsula, it's not an island. It's always interesting to me to know, to wonder, okay, well, there's all these paths. Obviously, it could be that one person made these paths. It's possible. Or it could be that multiple people have come along and made these paths over time. And the question is okay, were they people that were originally coming out from spawn looking for a place to build a base? Was it base hunters? Was it a combination of, hey, someone came this way and then other people found the trails and were scoping them out and following? Or are they excuse me, all related to a base around here? And so someone was just randomly going out in different directions to take a look at, resources and stuff. Kind of like what I used to do at my first base, not realizing, because I didn't have Zeros map at the time. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I didn't even know that you could follow chunk trails. I was such a noob from that standpoint. There is a bunch of stuff on the ground right here. It could be just because of water flow right here. It has gathered a bunch of stuff because it loaded up in the flow of water. I see all the dots. That's a bunch of mushrooms there. I guess that's it. It's just registering a bunch of mushrooms from the water flow from the chunk update. Oh, well. Never know. That's actually how I found all the rockets, the stacks of rockets I had was, a bunch of red dots like that. It's also how I found the one totem I have is a bunch of red dots laying on the ground, and it's like someone may have died here or dropped something. Oh, this is cool. You've got the biome here that's popped up out of the ground. Kind of makes it look like, there was hot springs or something supposed to be in this area, right? That's something they don't have in the game is hot springs and actual volcanoes. You got lava. How come there isn't like a volcanic biome in the overworld? Where you go in and it's like cinder cones and rivers of lava that are slowly flowing in different directions and volcanic rifts. And that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I mean, people make those types of biomes all the time in their builds and whatnot, but that'd be kind of cool if there was a natural biome that was like that you could find. And then you could find valleys of obsidian, which would be interesting. But then other things kind of reminds me of when I was playing on Cosmic PvP one year when they did the world reboots. They decided to do some custom maps and stuff instead of just the default Minecraft maps. And I have to admit, that was one of the coolest maps ever. And, in a way, the map was built specifically for factions to allow you to take advantage of the type of terrains that they built in from a resource standpoint, because like there was a giant there were actually two giant mountains that they turned into volcanoes. But inside of it, and don't ask me why they chose this, but inside was just tons and tons and tons of lapis ore. You could go there and just mine for days, huge pockets of lapis ore. Then there was these biomes that were mine shafts, and they were just filled with redstone ore. I mean, to where everything was redstone all around you, instead of stone, to that degree. There were kind of like desolate waste zones that were filled with mushrooms, and you could find glowstone and all of that. Then there were huge, huge forests. I mean, with trees that were more like realistic jungles of what we think today. This is before the jungle biome was a thing. To where, I mean, if you're standing here, a jungle tree today, or even a mega taiga spruce, you can look up and it's quite high. These trees were like 4 times that height. Trees that were like 200 blocks high. And then there were huge ice biomes, which back then didn't exist because the spiked ice biomes hadn't been introduced yet. So you could go mine all the ice you wanted. Of course, there wasn't packed ice or anything back then. It was just ice. So that was cool. And then there were ore biomes that went far up into the sky, of layered biomes and caverns that just went up, and they were filled with emeralds and diamonds and gold ore and iron ore in massive quantities. Same thing in the nether. If you went into the nether, there was no end in the server, but there was the nether. You could go into the nether and there'd be like obsidian biomes. It was just nothing but obsidian and glowstone trees and all kinds of stuff. Found a portal. That was a really fun server. There were these huge mountains with gigantic caverns in them. Massive caverns that went all the way down to bedrock. And this is before the Caves and Cliffs update. We built a base in one of them. That was pretty cool. At the time, I was trying to rebuild like Khazad-dûm around the base, and I was in this cavern, and so I was making great big pillars everywhere. And even though it was a faction server, I was still a builder. That's what I wanted to do. On a different world version before that, because it was my factions, I owned the factions, and I would invite people. And I only got incited a couple times, which was unfortunate, but most of the time I had good people. But I like to build, and so you had, in order to have room to build, you had to have lots of people in your faction so you could claim more land, all that usual stuff. And so at one point I basically had 2 factions because I had 2 accounts. So I had one on one and one on the other, but they were right next to each other. So we were joint factions and friends with each other because, well, it's my own factions. And so we combined the capabilities of the land claims to where, one of them acted basically as the barrier with all of the walls and the defenses and everything. And then the other claim was just this huge base inside where we built entire biomes. Like we had this huge grotto with a pirate ship sitting inside, and another area, giant parks with trees and stuff. we're talking to where, you know, I mean, it's like this here. You'd look out across and it'd just be all green, but it's all inside a base with roof and lava walls and defenses, you know, for factions to defend against cannons all around it, you know, and we'd create all of these different things inside. It was really cool. A lot of fun. And then I kind of got out of it because the server just kept going more and more and more and more towards PvP only. It's where there wasn't much a point of building the actual bases or anything, because all people would do would stick around spawn and get the little loot chest drops and then, you know, PvP all the time. And, you know, it's not my thing. So I left the server. Left my factions. Well, the world reset and I just didn't start again. What, kitty? Meow. Yeah, we're almost done. We've got a few more minutes of this episode. Unfortunately, we didn't find a base. But we repaired our gear and did some other things, so we're good. Oh, here I'm looking at my clock and going, yeah, we got 3 more minutes, not realizing we're already over 30 minutes because I spent the first part of this episode searching for the tower. So this is a long episode, everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here with that creeper explosion. And we'll pick up in the next episode. Thanks for joining, everybody. Take care.